Welcome to another banner breakdown. Today we'll be covering the Zofia's Call banner, and it features some characters from Shadows of Valentia. We have Forsyth and Python, the dynamic duo, Silque, and another Catria. Not sure what the community term for her will be, since I guess technically this is another game's version of Catria compared to her other form, but I'm thinking either Valentia Catria or just Sword Catria because the other one carries a lance. We will discuss the stats of our new units as well as new weapons and skills, plus we'll talk about general builds and playstyles you can use if you should summon them. This new heroes banner also features another instant 3 and 4 star unit. This time it's Valbar, and just like Bantu from before, he will be in the permanent summoning pool, so be on the lookout for him. We'll take a quick look at Valbar's kit at the end of this video. Starting off, we have Forsyth, who is a force to be reckoned with in Heroes. He's a lance armor unit, so you already know he's going to have some good things coming. His stats include 47 HP, 40 attack, 20 speed, 39 defense, and 33 resistance. Pretty disgusting stats. Forsyth is your typical slow armor unit, sacrificing speed for ridiculous attack and defense, and has some pretty good HP and res too. He basically is a better version of Shell, who came out earlier this year, and if you want a slow armor unit, then he's going to be much stronger than Effie and Gwendolyn are easier to get options. As an army unit, Forsyth also has some great skills already, including the ever popular Bold Fighter B skill combined with Bonfire for guaranteed procs if he gets countered. His A skill is Defense and Res Bond, which is quite rare but did appear as a secret seal recently. Not a bad defensive ability considering his unique weapon. Forsyth does get his own weapon, the Souled Lance, and it's pretty special. This 16 might lance grants plus 3 res, so Forsyth will have 36 res total, which is pretty good. When Forsyth makes an attack, he will then restore 10 HP per attack, and then he gets that 10 health even if he deals 0 damage. Pretty neat effect, and Forsyth gets pretty bulky when he gets to heal after every single attack. Should be obvious that you want him to attack as much as possible. With Bold Fighter, that's a guaranteed 2 hits, despite his abysmal speed stat. 2 hits gets Forsyth 20 HP per fight, although if he's at full health then he may not get that full value. Still, this is a very cool weapon, and for a tanky army unit who shouldn't go down in one hit, Forsyth will be healing up after every hit. That could be pretty hilarious with healing specials, and since he's an army unit, there are plenty of ways to get special cooldown reduction. To make Forsyth even tankier, he comes with Joint Home Defense. At the start of the turn, if the user is adjacent to an ally, grants plus 5 defense to the unit and their adjacent allies for 1 turn. To be clear, the joint buffs are clear upgrades to their regular Hone and Fortify counterparts, and they are very easy to activate buffs. They grant self-buffing effects and help out the team. You just have to be adjacent for it to activate. For an army unit like Forsyth, that shouldn't be no problem. One gripe I have with this skill is I think it should have just been called Joint Fortify Defense, because the old buff isn't called Hone Defense, it's Fortify Defense. Hones are for attack and speed buffs, while Fortify is for defense and res buffs. Kind of a dumb change, but it is what it is. Now for playstyle and builds, Forsyth has some unique traits thanks to his weapon. Soul Lance can grant sustain for Forsyth if he attacks, and the goal should be to get him multiple attacks as much as possible. His base kit is pretty okay if you want a mix of offense and defense. With 40 base attack, Bold Fighter, and Bonfire give Forsyth plenty of damage on the player phase, while Defense and Res Bond and Joint Home Defense give him protection to tank attacks. Adding Quick Repulse should be fine, and with the healing from Soul Lance, Forsyth may even be able to stay in Quick Repulse range. For other options, I think he could be pretty darn annoying with a distant counter and wary fighter set. He won't get multiple attacks off, but if you buff him up, Forsyth can be annoying to deal with if there isn't a strong attacker to bypass for a fighter. Distant counter allows him to hit back against ranged units, and more importantly, he'll get 10 HP to stay in wary fighter range. Add Bravely Cena and her Steady Breath buff, and Forsyth can pull off noontime counterattacks with the extra 10 HP from Soul Lance on top of that. Pretty crazy stuff, and something I would not want to encounter without the proper tools. For the most part, Forsyth is very cool. Good stats, good base kit, and with certain builds, he may be a great stall type of unit. If that's not your jam, then he can just as easily be another strong Bold Fighter Lancer. Unfortunately, Forsyth's pal Python doesn't get the benefit of being an army unit. Python is a green archer and a cavalier as well, which has its pros and cons depending on what you think about colored bows. His stats include 30 HP, 32 attack, 35 speed, 31 defense, and 20 resistance. Python is actually somewhat similar to Halloween Rolf, so if you're familiar with him, then Python isn't too far off. Okay attack and decent speed for a cavalier, and he does have the highest defense for a bow cav. Unlike Rolf, Python will be playing around the weapon triangle, so he will fare differently versus blue and red units, while Rolf has no advantage or disadvantage. So normally this is where we go over old and new skills for our units, but Python only comes with old skills, a pretty rare occurrence, but let's discuss them. His weapon is the Short Bow Plus, which is the bow version of the Woe Dow type of weapons, granting plus 10 damage on special triggers. Python has Moonbow, and with its short cooldown he wants to double often to activate it while triggering short bow as well. To help with this endeavor, he comes with Steady Blow 2, which grants +4 speed and defense on initiations. Not the worst skill for Python, as his speed is in a good spot, and as we mentioned, his defense is the best in the group. Finally, Python comes with Blue Tome Breaker, which isn't a new skill, but actually was only available on female Robin, who is a Grand Hero battle unit. Breaker skills aren't exactly super powerful, but their ability to counter specific threats is potent and fine to go on budget builds. There are also quite a number of scary blue mages, and even though he's a green unit, Python would prefer not getting hit by magical damage. Python's introduction to heroes is kind of funny in a sad way. He is a somewhat laid back or lazy type of character, and his kit is just kind of the base minimum, especially compared to Forsyth, who goes all out with a unique weapon and crazy stats and skills. Python isn't exactly awful by any means, but he's not bringing anything worth going crazy over. His stats are okay and his kit does work with it, but we are working with some pretty basic skills compared to the crazy power creep that is expected. The short bow and steady blow do give him decent offensive power, and if you go at a speed or fine short bow, then something like sturdy blow as a sacred seal is a great compliment. He can always run our usual fury and desperation setups, and if you really want, he can just steal Halloween Roll's fury bow or even Bridal Louise's Swiss Sparrow bow. Now, considering Python's kit, he is just screaming to be demoted to the 4-star pool. Nothing super busted, and he would be okay as an addition, considering the short bow, steady blow, and blue tone breaker are not in the 3 to 4-star pool. Not to mention, colored archers mostly haven't seemed to light the world on fire. I would say you could wait till he demotes to try and get him, but do not quote me on that. You never know what intelligent systems will do. In the case Python does become easier to get, there are some decent budget skills for him. A Brave Bow on a green archer is interesting, and you can combine that with Blue Tonebreaker or Lance Breaker for quad attacks on those enemy types for a fun counter build. With his decent defense stat, he won't melt to distant counter units besides dragons. Overall, Python is just not worth chasing unless you like him as a character. If you want a green archer, Sue is faster, and then there's also legendary Lyn or New Year's Fjorm. Python does have a nice defense stat though, so at least it's not all negatives. To me, the best thing for Python is for him to demote because he just isn't built to be a 5-star only unit. Moving on, we have Silque, another infantry healer, but boy does she bring some surprises. Silque's stats include 39 HP, 33 attack, 23 speed, 35 defense, and 31 resistance. Holy cow, Silque has some monster defensive stats for a healer. 35 defense and 31 resistance is extremely good, and the only other healer with this kind of defensive stats would be Winter Erica, who is an armored unit. Silque is very slow, so her defenses aren't invincible, but boy will she take hits better than the other slow healers. Very fun stat line and definitely an interesting unit just stat wise. For old skills, Silque comes with Recover Plus, a solid all-around healing option. Her special is Earth Fire Bomb Plus, which grants +6 attack and defense to all allies when it activates. She also comes with Dazzling Staff, which prevents enemy counterattacks, and that is very important because with her low speed stat, Silque can prevent taking more counterattack damage. For new skills, Silque has a sort of new staff called Melancholy Plus. After combat, if the user attacks, then reset special cooldown of the target and foes within 2 spaces of that target. Also inflicts the guard status on the target and foes within 2 spaces. Finally, it neutralizes special cooldown count reductions after combat for the enemy. Oh boy, so the Melancholy Staff is our permanent pull version of the Witchy Wand. This staff is fully focused on preventing specials, and with how powerful specials are, it can effectively shut down a lot of extra damage. To be clear, Melancholy does not inflict guard during its actual in-combat fight, so if Silque gets attacked, the enemy may still charge their special like normal. Only after that first fight occurs will all these effects take place. This staff can shut down Special Spiral and other similar effects, so getting hit by it is extremely bad for those type of units. The AoE special reset is also incredibly good and will knock fully charged specials all the way back to full cooldown. Extremely powerful stuff, and you will definitely see this in Aether raids. For PvE modes, the Witchy Wand has shown to be pretty effective in Rooker sieges because you can completely screw up the Rooker's powerful 9-turn special. This allows you to not have to run guard on your main attackers and can empower strats like Brave Weapons plus Breakers for guaranteed quad attacks without just instantly charging the Rooker special. Very useful staff to have all around. With Melancholy being so good, Silque has to take a hit somewhere. She has Staff Experience 3, which I did not realize wasn't already in the game. These skills grant double experience to healers, but honestly the experience skills are rather pointless. It's very easy to level to 40 and you only have to do it once anyway. Not to mention we have double EXP on the weekends and you are just showered with leveling crystals to skip the process entirely. Farming SP is more of an issue. You can use this skill if you want, but just trade it out for anything else once you start going into actual serious battles. Normally, there isn't much to discuss about healers in terms of builds because they are all generally pretty similar. The faster ones can opt for offensive skills at a premium price, although we have Brave Veronica and Camilla for those needs. Silque is on the other side of the spectrum, slow but absurd defense and res for a healer. Unfortunately, she cannot run Wary Fighter like Winter Erica, but she can still become pretty tanky and not at an absurd cost either. Steady Stance 3 and even Defense Wave 3 can be both gotten from Silas, who is a 4 to 5 stars unit, and you can always go with Fortress Defense 3 if you want to be extra budget. Healers have some odd inheritance restrictions, but they can use close defense or distant defense as well, and they can use Steady Stance and Warding Stance. If you have a spare Mercedes, then Odd Res Wave is also good to boost Silque's res. If you want to go crazy, then it's worth noting that Silque has super boons for speed, defense, and resistance. She may be slow, but my god, can she become annoying if she stacks defense and res and all those merges. With Melancholy, she becomes a bit troublesome to attack, and there is also the Fear Staff for AoE attack debuffs. I would say she can also run the Absorb plus Close Counter setup if you want, but I would only recommend that for highly invested Silques. I don't think she's going to be more of a problem than Winter Erica per se, but I will say she's a surprise hit, at least to me, on this banner. Silque brings a unique stat line for infantry healers, and Melancholy Staff will be a strong weapon to have for sure. Our last 5-star unit on this banner is Catria, not a new character to Heroes, but I suppose this is a Catria from a different game, so yeah. This time she has a flying sword unit with 41 HP, 38 attack, 36 speed, 27 defense, and 24 resistance. Immediate standout is her crazy 38 base attack, and you'll see why it's so high very soon. Paired with a good 36 speed, Catria is definitely ready to bop some fools. Her defensive bulk isn't that bad either, not amazing defensive res, but enough to not go down instantly. For old skills, Catria has some neat abilities. Harsh Command Plus resurfaces, being able to reverse debuffs and this time get rid of the negative status effects like Panic. Catria also has Aerobatics, which allows her to teleport to open spaces by non-flying units within 2 spaces. She also has Speed Tactic to buff those mixed teams, and it's the rarest tactic buff, so definitely nice to have. Catria has a unique weapon, this time called the Astra Blade. This is a 60 might sword that grants plus 3 attack, so in total, Catria sits at a ridiculous 57 attack. She'll need that because if her attack is greater than the foe's defense, then Astra Blade deals damage equal to 50% of Catria's attack minus the foe's defense. Alrighty, so despite the name, Astra Blade sort of adds a glimmer special to all of Catria's attacks. There is some things to take note here is that despite of the description, Astra Blade deals true damage, not boosted damage like a normal special. Also, while the effect is similar to Glimmer, it's not exactly the same, because Glimmer can end up dealing 0 damage because it uses base damage dealt. While simplified, the damage formula is a unit's attack minus the enemy's defense or resistance. That does not include the weapon triangle. For example, to make things simple, let's say Catria has 50 attack versus a blue foe with 40 defense. Because of the weapon triangle, she would actually end up with 40 attack, and 40 attack minus 40 defense equals 0 damage. However, Astra Blade does not care about the weapon triangle's values. It sees that Catria's has 50 attack minus the enemy's 40 defense. That gets us a total of 10, and 50% of 10 is 5, so Astra Blade deals 5 damage. I did do some testing, and you can prove Astra Blade deals true damage because regular special damage takes into account negative base damage. It's possible for Catria to still deal less than 0 damage, but Astra Blade can still activate, and its damage does not get totaled with the negative damage. Due to the way Astra Blade adds extra damage, it scales extremely well the lower the enemy's defense is, even against blue units. However, like Glimmer, it scales poorly against high defense foes, so Catria can still be walled off by really high defense tanks. She can still hurt them, but it's not going to be as crazy as like Legendary Alm, who can dish out stupid amounts of damage. Continuing on, Catria has attack and speed bond 4. This bond grants plus 7 attack and speed if the unit is adjacent to any ally, and it also neutralizes any attack or speed debuffs during combat. Another tier 4 bond skill, and it's strong, but generally bonds are more defensive in nature, so most users may want more defense or resistance. Extra attack and speed can be useful, but its number of users will probably be lower. Flyers are good users of bonds with their multitude of mobility skills like aerobatics or flyer formation, while Catria absolutely loves the extra attacking speed. For offensive usage, it's probably better utilized on a ranged unit to have that wider attack range. So this new Catria is pretty scary. She can easily one-shot low defense units thanks to her high base attack and absurd Astral Blade weapon. For example, if a unit only has 20 defense, Catria with 57 attack deals 37 base damage and then another 18 true damage on top of that. Kind of absurd. Nothing really wrong with her base kit, but there are some alterations you can make. Attack and speed bond 4 is good, but if Catria is the first one to attack, then she may want something more independent like Death Blow or Swift Sparrow. If you plan to use a mixed team, then aerobatics can make attack and speed bond work, but for more general situations, you may want something else. Catria would really like some extra speed, but the more attack you give her, the more absurd her single hit damage becomes and the higher Astral Blade scales. She doesn't have to be the one to run it, but chill defense is definitely a good idea to bring along. And of course, Heavy Blade is nice with all that attack. I'm not really sure how this Catria will play out without seeing her in action more, but I imagine she can fill a nice hole in a Wings of Mercy team. That way she can still keep her bond skill. She could also be pretty deadly with Vantage and Defense Smoke, just for even more damage. If you have this new Catria, I would love to hear your thoughts on her after getting to use her a bit. Our newest 3 to 4 star summonable unit is Valbar. If you can't get Forsyth, then maybe you'll see Valbar because he is also an armored lance unit. He has 49 HP, 35 attack, 25 speed, 38 defense, and 26 resistance. Not as min-max as Forsyth, but still some decent stats considering he's not a 5-star unit. Valbar's kit also isn't as stellar and makes Python's kit look amazing in comparison. He has a Brave Lance, Vengeance, HP and attack 2, and Obstruct. Not the most impressive lineup, although HP and attack 2 is not bad and an okay budget skill actually. For the most part, Valbar is just kind of there. I don't even know if we've had a summonable 3 to 4 star armor unit added to the pool, so I suppose that is something notable. He will be an okay budget armor unit to build, but if you want to invest in him, then he's going to be okay with our good old armor fighter skills like Bold or Vengeful Fighter. You kind of have to rebuild his whole kit except for maybe the Brave Lance, but at least his stats are usable and you can wait to get a certain boon eventually. Personally, I'm okay with the instant 3 to 4 star units not being super amazing because I just like having more characters in the game. Having 1 or 2 decent skills and okay stats seems to be the decent trade-off for more availability. Finally, that's all we had to discuss for this banner breakdown. If you aren't planning on summoning, we do have a Grand Hero battle unit coming up. It's Conrad, our masked knight from Shadows of Valentia, although he doesn't always hide behind his mask. He's another Lance Cavalier, which may not be the most exciting thing to hear, but we'll see what he has to offer. Thanks for watching. If you have any thoughts on our new units, please share them with everyone in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.